SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
At Community Bank, we're here for every part of your financial journey. From personal banking to growing your business or buying a home, our expert guidance makes it simple. We're more than a bank. We're your partner for life's biggest moments. Community Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man, way past 21.
Hey, good morning. Welcome in. It is Tuesday, 7th of April, and we're glad to be with you on Mornings with Richard Cross right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, presented by Community Bank. Online at communitybank.net, rooted in our community, member FDIC, alongside Lance Tolbert. I'm Richard Cross. Lance, good morning.
Good morning, RC.
What's shaking, brother?
Happy Tuesday, dude.
Mm-hmm.
We're almost halfway there this week.
Almost.
Yeah. It's not like you want them to go fast. I mean, it seems like time just flies. I mean, we'll look down, it'll be Thanksgiving. No, I mean, I'm happy that it's only Tuesday. You know, I may even play Happy Thanksgiving again today.
You really fast forwarded.
Yeah,
like, look down and it's going to be Thanksgiving. I thought you were going to be like, yeah, hey, look down and it's going to be Memorial Day.
Man, I'm telling you, dude, the time just flies, though.
It does.
So, yeah, I'm happy it's only Tuesday, I should say.
It does. How do you mark time? Like, do you have waypoints like you do something that you enjoy and then you start counting down to the next thing, or you just kind of one day after another roll out of bed and do it?
Yeah, I mean, more of the latter than the former, but usually birthday. You know, August 16th is kind of that point where it's, you know, as you get older, it's a sinking platform as you get closer to the birthday. You're glad you have one, but you're not really looking forward to getting older, so you try to max out as much as you can do. Yeah, between now and August 16th. So, yeah, that's kind of my marker for time, I would say, is the birthday. Then after that, you're like, all right, I got a few months here to, you know, of being 52. Then it'll kind of, once you get to the first of the year again, you're going, dang it, man, I'm about to be 53. So, yeah, I just want to slow down.
I love trips so much, whether it's with family or friends or whatever. It's like, love counting down to when we're going somewhere. And then when it's ending, it's like, all right, what's the next thing? You know, how many months away is that? When is the next thing coming up? And so it's kind of I don't know.
Well, I think when you have kids,
something to look forward to.
I think when you have kids too, it's very different in how time works for you. I mean, just watching how my sister and brother-in-law, you know, there's always something going on too. So that trip is what's next. I mean, it's this week. You know, we
operate. And I think it's a function of where we live, but I think there's probably more to it than that. Our family operates on an academic calendar. Mm-hmm. I think when you live in a college town, it's hard not to. So, you know, lots of people, it's like, hey, it's January, it's the first of the year. I'm like, not really. We're like 5 months into the year. The year started in August, and it's going to run through the end of May, and then you just get kind of a weird break time. But I don't know. Maybe we are strange in that regard. Wherever you are and however you mark time, looks like you're in for a pretty good day today across the state of Mississippi. Hernando going to be low 70s, maybe mid 70s, with overnight lows in the upper 40s, maybe around 50, mostly clear to partly cloudy during the day, very light winds, very low chance of precipitation. How about Macon, Mississippi? Mid-70s for you, maybe as high as 77 degrees with overnight lows in the upper 40s, mostly sunny, few clouds possible, light northeast winds that are going to become lighter as the day goes along. How about southwest Mississippi, down in the corner next to the boot that is Louisiana? Mid to upper 70s, overnight low in the mid-50s. Mostly sunny today for you. Just mild breezes. And in Picayune, Mississippi, home of the Maroon Tide.
It's a
75
Space
to 80
Center,
for your high.
You got the big Space Center down there, too. That's a big deal.
Yeah. It's a really big deal.
Yeah. The football team usually is, too. Picky.
Lows in the 50s. Partly cloudy. A little bit of sun today. Very low chance of precipitation. So just one big sunny day with puffy clouds and temperatures in the 70s. And I don't know how many mornings in a row we're going to wake up and, at least in North Mississippi, Lance, the first digit on the thermometer is a 4.
Yeah. Yeah, y'all got
a couple days in a row.
Yeah, it's not going to last, but that's a definite change up from 80.
Yeah.
My body was a little bit cold yesterday, but I woke up today. It feels like I'm kind of getting back into the winter, and I'm like, no, don't do it. Don't get used to this.
Today appears to have been the last day.
Yeah.
Until, I don't know, maybe October, where that's the case. Really nice time of the year. And the Augusta, Georgia forecast is spectacular this week, as well as we get a message from Kelly in Florence on the C Spire text line. Love to hear from you, 601-879-4395. Kelly says, happy Masters Week. Have a great day, gentlemen.
You as well, Kelly. Thank you.
Practice rounds got started yesterday in Augusta, Georgia. Practice round today, Champions dinner tonight, practice round until about lunchtime tomorrow. Then the annual Par 3 contest, which is just such a cool thing to watch. And then early on Thursday morning, those opening shots will be hit. So yesterday I screwed up, Lance.
I noticed, yeah. I was reading that.
So yesterday, and I can tell you why I did this. I always prepare everything the night before. Well, I was giving you birthdays for the next day. So in my head, whatever the date is on my computer or phone or whatever, it's the next day that I'm pulling up birthdays and information for. Mm-hmm. It was after midnight on Sunday night when I was putting that part of the rundown of the show together. So I looked and I saw that it was the 7th or the 6th, and so I was getting birthdays for the 7th. Well, yesterday was the 7th. So, since I screwed up yesterday and gave you birthdays for the 7th on the 6th, let's just screw it up farther. And today on the 7th, we'll give you birthdays from the 6th.
That's some good ones,
yesterday, Raphael was born in 1483. The Italian Renaissance painter and architect, renowned for masterpieces like the School of Athens and Sistine Madonna. One of the great masters of the High Renaissance alongside Michelangelo and Leonardo. And does anybody give Donatello any credit?
Nah.
Anybody? I mean, the fourth Ninja Turtle is just a schmuck?
Just kind of forgotten, yeah.
Donald Wills Douglas Sr. was born yesterday, on this day in 1892, the aviation pioneer and founder of the Douglas Aircraft Company, which produced iconic planes like the DC-3, contributed significantly to both World War II and commercial aviation. Billy D. Williams, born April 6, 1937, American actor and artist, iconic for his role as Lando Calrissian. I don't know why I was having trouble.
Good old Lando.
Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and Brian's song.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
He'll be 89.
Hey, and
turned 89 yesterday.
To me, the best work he ever did was the Colt 45 commercials and the beer, or malt liquor. It works every time. Cool, man. I go back and look at those on YouTube regularly.
Born in 1937, gone way too soon in 2016. The great Merle Haggard. What is the greatest Merle Haggard song, Lance?
Ooh, that's a good one. Hard to pick one to me.
Okay.
Do you have something off the top of your head?
I do.
What you got, man?
I turned 21 in prison doing life without parole. No one could steer me right.
Mama tried.
Mama tried.
Yeah. I mean, there's, Pancho and Lefty, the 83, and, I don't know. There's just so many. I was always a good fan of his, solid fan, named a dog after him, so. Yeah. Just always been the whole gumbo of his.
Was the dog Merle or Haggard?
He was Merle, yeah.
Okay.
Him and Waylon were, two that I really enjoyed. Just like their whole basket of work, though. I never really migrated to one thing.
I get that. Barry Levinson was born in 1942, yesterday. Film director, producer, and screenwriter. How about these credits? Rain Man, Diner, The Natural, Good Morning Vietnam with the great Robin Williams. He's an Oscar winner for Best Director. That is quite the list. John Ratzenberg was born yesterday, 1947, the actor and voice artist, best known as Cliff Clavin on Cheers and for voicing characters in nearly every Pixar film, including Ham in Toy Story. Just getting started with you. It is Tuesday morning, the 7th of April. Thanks for being with us. MRC. Hopefully coming in loud and clear for you. We're back right after this.
Good morning from the Venable.
From the White House to your hometown, this is where you find out what's happening. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Despite all my Sunday learning, towards the bad I kept on turning, till Mama couldn't hold me anymore. I turned 21 in prison, doing life without parole. No one could steer me right, but Mama tried. Mama tried to raise me better, but her pleading I denied. That leaves only me to blame, 'cause Mama tried.
Good morning to you. C-Spire text line is open if you'd like to join the conversation. We would love for you to do just that. 601-879-4395. If you missed birthdays and you're like, wait, that person wasn't born today, you're right. They were born yesterday. But yesterday I gave you the people that were born today. Just roll with it and we'll be back to normal tomorrow. Candace Cameron Bure. We'll stop there. 1976. April 6th, 1976 was her birthday. The actress and producer who rose to fame as DJ Tanner on Full House and its sequel, Fuller House. She turned 50 yesterday. 50! Of course, her second career has been in Hallmark movies. She has become the starlet of Hallmark.
They pump them out over there, man. Let me tell you, goodness. Some good stuff.
She'll be home for Christmas. Just you wait and see.
We just had a producer and a director on the other day, a Mississippian that had moved off. He does, and he's got a play that will be at the New Stage Theater, but he's done several movies on Hallmark. And, just listening to the process, it was fascinating. It really was. Because I'm guilty of that time of year where I'll turn on Hallmark and catch, a bunch of kind of Christmas in Vermont and, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating, really, how it all works.
Well, it can't be that complicated, right? I mean, you have a star and a starlet, unless it's one of the DEI Hallmark movies.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I think there are a few of those. But generally speaking, there's a return to home, and there's some distress, and then there's some butting of heads, and then there's romance and a kiss, and there might be a kid, and there's happily ever after, right? Throw in a little snow. At least one trip to the Christmas tree farm.
Yeah, nostalgia.
Some hot cocoa. One point in the movie where it's very uncertain as to whether or not they're actually going to make it. And then roll the credits, baby. And it's spectacular. Every time they do it, it's spectacular. In 1453, Ottoman Turkish forces under Sultan Mehmed II begin the siege of Constantinople. That's modern-day Istanbul. It's the capital of the Byzantine Empire. The city falls on May 29th, marking the end of the Byzantine Empire and the rise of the Ottomans. A wild time in history.
Oh, goodness. That whole area, too. I mean, it's just, like you say, time flies. It's always something happening. Something big, too.
In 1830, Joseph Smith organized what he originally called the Church of Christ and later became known as the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or the Mormon Church. He did so in Fayette, New York. The home of the Mormon Church is now Salt Lake City. Massive population of LDS churches there. That is a checkered history. Generally speaking, wonderful people that are members of the LDS, but a checkered history. And I remember correctly, Joseph Smith never made it to Utah. It was Brigham Young who
ushered it in,
did the settling and ushered it in the Beehive State. The Battle of Shiloh this day in 1862 began in southwestern Tennessee during the Civil War. Ulysses S. Grant leading the Union forces Mississippi regiments at Shiloh. Units like the 6th Mississippi Infantry charged across Ray Field on April 6th, suffering around 76% casualties in the intense fighting. A day that was called the Bloody 6th. First modern Olympic Games were held at Athens, Greece in 1896 after a 1,500-year hiatus, reviving the ancient tradition. Finally, 1964, approximately 600 students were expelled from Alcorn State University for participating in civil rights protests. This reflected the intense repression faced by young activists in Mississippi during the buildup to what became Freedom Summer. All right, time for some news headlines with you. And these are news headlines for April 7th, not for April 6th. So,
and they're not for tomorrow either, right?
Also not for tomorrow. Boy, wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, I wish you had that in your bag.
By the way, C-Spire text line, Hallmark equals guy in a turtleneck.
And yeah, like a sports coat and turtleneck, too.
Yeah.
That's when you go to dinner.
There was a Hallmark Christmas movie shot in Mississippi. Can't remember the name.
Yeah.
Mississippi for the holidays. A Magnolia Christmas.
Christmas on the Bayou. That would be nice. Like set in Leland, Mississippi.
I associate the Bayou with Louisiana.
Yeah, well, I associate it with Leland, and because home of Jim Henson in the Muppets. They came off of Deer Creek, the longest bayou I've ever seen. But yeah, Bayou Country, that's Louisiana.
Absolutely. Merle passed on his birthday, which happens to be my wife's birthday as well. That's Steve from Kasuth.
I didn't know that. That's I wonder how often that happens.
Does that make your birthday a good day or a bad day?
I don't know. It comes full circle, right?
It sure does. Sure does. All right, we have some news headlines for you this morning. A former water authority office manager in Greene County behind bars on embezzlement charges, according to the Office of the State Auditor. The OSA announced yesterday its agents arrested Deborah Harper, who previously served as office manager for the Southeast Greene Water Authority. Officials allege that she embezzled funds belonging to the utility for her personal use. How'd she do it? She kept cash payments collected from new customer water account agreements for herself. Additionally, she is accused of using payments from other water users to cover outstanding balances on accounts tied to herself and her daughter. It's a public utility in Loosedale, serves residents and customers within Greene County. Up to $25,000 in fines, as many as 10 years in prison. Was her activity large scale enough? Like, how many people actually pay their bill with cash? And how much was her actual bill where she was... Here's what I'm getting at. I'm not condoning crime. I'm not encouraging crime. I do think you have to do a cost-benefit analysis, though, if you are going to go down the road of being a criminal. Like, what is the potential bad that could happen here? And is it worth the potential good? And if it's just a few $100s that she scraped off the top from people who were paying their bill or their service turned on with cash, and 2 or 3 months for herself and her daughter on their, or daughter-in-law, I guess her daughter, on the electric bill or the utility bill, there probably wasn't enough juice in that squeeze to make it worthwhile.
Yeah. You're talking about criminals?
I understand.
They're not the brightest bunch.
I get it. But it's like, man, This is a deal.
You wonder if it just started.
I put away $2 million over the last 2.5 years through this little cash operation, and I get if I get caught, I'm going to the clink.
Yeah, salted it away in the Caymans or something, you know.
We're gonna take a chance here. Again, not encouraging that. Hattiesburg native Davis Riley is going to take another swing at trying to win the Masters. Had the best finish for a Mississippi-born player at Augusta National in more than a decade last year. He finished tied for 21st. It was the best finish by a Mississippian since Jim Gallagher's T17 back in 1991. Davis Riley, PCS product, trying to build on that momentum from a year ago. And finally, former Mississippi Speaker of the House, Philip Gunn, eyeing the state's highest elected office after stepping away from his role in the legislature. He retired from the House in January of 2024, expected to announce his 2027 bid for governor a week from today, next Tuesday, in his hometown of Clinton. First elected to the Mississippi legislature back in 2003. In 2012, he became the first Republican to hold the position of Speaker since Reconstruction. Held the post until choosing not to seek re-election 2 years ago. Really significant things happened under Philip Gunn's leadership. We're back with you after this. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
From Your Day Right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
The pleasure is ours. We thank you for joining the conversation this morning on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395, 601-879-4395. Lots happening at C Spire right now. At C Spire, new and current customers can get a free phone, watch, and tablet plus 100 gigs of data for just $90. There's more to see. Visit cspire.com. Kind of ran out of time before the break and feel like he should get his due, especially given what he accomplished in the time in which he was office. So, Philip Gunn, campaign kickoff event coming a week from today in his hometown of Clinton. It's going to be his official announcement that he is running for governor. In his time presiding over the House, he notably oversaw a successful effort to change Mississippi's state flag from its previous iteration to its current one. Implemented what was the largest tax cut in state history at the time of passage. Gave K through 12 educators the largest pay raise on record. Also influential in the passage of the Gestational Age Act in 2018, banning virtually all abortions after 15 weeks in Mississippi. And that was the act that was directly involved versus Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Clinic that went to the U.S. Supreme Court and was a huge part of the overturn of Roe v. Wade. So we're at 16 months now from gubernatorial primaries, and there are now two in the field, the primary field for Republicans. Former Speaker of the House Philip Gunn, current Ag Commissioner Andy Gibson. More names are coming. More announcements are expected soon. And the most common names that have been bounced about and bandied about are those of Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann, Attorney General Lynn Fitch, State Auditor Shad White, and Columbia-based businessman Tommy Duff. Could there be others? We shall see. Oh, what an entertaining year or so it's going to be. Just going to be spectacular.
Oh, it's mine. I anticipate an amazing run here. It's going to be really one of the first times, I think, in my memory here in the state that you've had so many competent challengers all on one side of the ticket. It'll be going after each other, man. That's going to be something to see.
And cue the note right now as Brandon Presley sits back and counts his money,
Yeah.
or raises his money.
Heck of a tree stump politician right there too.
He is.
Yeah, Brandon is
very very retail, very retail,
very approachable guy too. So it'll be interesting to see.
Truth of the matter is, a lot of what Brandon Presley believes is Republican stuff. I mean, it just is. But he hasn't let go of those Democrat ties. And for the people that are like, well, he's really like a Republican just in Democrat in name alone. Like, yeah, but you're aligning yourself with.
Mm-hmm.
When you align yourself with Hillary and Kamala and Joe and the whole crew, then I don't really want to hear about, but he's really this. No, you could really be that if you wanted to be, but you're not.
The label says it all, right?
Yeah. I mean, you choose which jersey to wear. You do.
And it's hard, too, for politicians to me. It's kind of like a wine that's sold well for 3 decades, going out and changing its label. It doesn't really go well. And a lot of politicians, although they have the opportunity to jump, maybe come over to the Republican Party, run in a more conservative platform, it's hard for them to do that, to change the label, Even if they really want to. It seems very difficult to make that transition.
Sometimes it's just a decision of whether or not you want to be principled or you want to win.
There you go.
69-63 was the final last night. Michigan over UConn. It's time for your morning sports update, brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Online at pearlriverresort.com. Pearl River Resort, your home, the home, also your home, of the Dancing Rabbit Golf Club. 2 18-hole championship courses. The Oaks, the Azaleas courses. You can play with Azaleas as beautiful as what you would see in Augusta, Georgia this weekend. Book your tee time at dancingrabbitgolf.com. It's dancingrabbitgolf.com. Dancing Rabbit, part of Pearl River Resort. Michigan was led by Elliot Cadeau. In 30 minutes, he had 19 points. Despite an injury, Yaxel Lindenborg played 36 minutes, 12 points, and 28 minutes for Morez Johnson Jr. As Michigan cut down the nets as national champions, they played 40 games this year, and they finished with a record of 37-3. Dusty May, who just a few years ago kind of burst onto the scene when he led FAU, Florida Atlantic, to the Final Four, now is a national champion head coach with the Michigan Wolverines. Good game, physical game last night. Those two really, really good basketball teams. D1 Baseball's new top 25 is out. That came out yesterday. UCLA remains number one. They have been there for all 8 weeks of the season. Texas sits in that number 2 spot at 26-5. Then it's Georgia Tech out of the ACC. How about the Peach State as Georgia checks in at number 4? Other teams in the SEC in the top 25, Bama with its highest ranking of the season. They make an 8-spot jump from 16 to 8. Mississippi State falls 5 spots after being swept last weekend. They are now at number 9. Southern Miss checks in at number 10, an overall record of 23-9. Dropped 1 against Old Dominion this past weekend. You've got Auburn at 15, Oklahoma at 16, Texas A&M at 18, Arkansas, after a 1-3 week, drops 5 spots from 17 to 22. LSU and Ole Miss round out the top 25 at numbers 24 and 25. The LSU Tigers and the Ole Miss Rebels will meet in a 3-game series in Oxford this weekend. University of North Carolina is hiring a former NBA basketball coach, according to sources. UNC's been one of those places where, you got to be a Carolina man. You got to be part of the Tar Heel family, the Dean Smith lineage. They just went out and got a dude this time. Hiring longtime NBA coach Michael Malone. NBA champion from his time with the Nuggets, won 510 games in 12 seasons as a coach, considered to be one of the best tacticians in the game. Has not coached in college since 2001, when he was an assistant with the Manhattan Jaspers. Say college basketball has become more and more like the NBA, so go get an NBA tactician to try and lead that historic program. We shall see. And news from last week, President Donald Trump signed an executive order at the end of last week on Friday, designed to limit how long athletes can play college sports and how often they can transfer between schools. The order directs the NCAA to create rules that mandate college athletes can play for, quote, no more than a 5-year period, close quote. It allows them 1 free transfer before graduation without having to sit out for a year. The rule changes based on the executive order from the President of the United States go into effect on August 1st. A school that plays an athlete who doesn't meet this criteria could risk losing its federal funding. Also, the NCAA should update its rules and create a national registry for player agents and create policies that prevent schools from cutting scholarships or other opportunities for women's and Olympic sports in order to pay their athletes. The White House said in a news release, quote, college sports cannot function without clear, agreed-upon rules concerning pay for play and player eligibility. They cannot be endlessly challenged in court, as is the case now. Multiple lawyers who work with colleges and their athletes told ESPN they believe that judges would rule the president's order to be unconstitutional and unenforceable. I don't understand how this line of the story prevent schools from cutting scholarships or other opportunities for women's and Olympic sports in order to pay their athletes. If you are forcing them to pay their athletes because of the rules that are in place through NIL and revenue sharing and whatever else, how can you tell them what they can offer and can't offer? Like, shouldn't they then decide how to spend their money and make it go either as far as they want it to go or spend where they believe? I don't know. But again, it'll be challenged and struck down in court, and we shall move merrily down the road. That's your morning sports update brought to you by Pearl River Resort. We're back after this.
Good morning from the
Good morning, everybody. Time to wake up.
Time to shine!
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Time for your Mississippi Lottery update on this Tuesday morning, the 7th of April. Tonight, we have a Mega Millions drawing. Last night, we had a jackpot winner. A single ticket sold in Delaware won the estimated $231 million jackpot, an estimated cash value of $100 million. And so the jackpot resets. The $20 million jackpot will be first up for grabs on Wednesday, April 8th. So that person, if they take the lump sum after taxes, is going to walk away with about $62 million, give or take. Seems like probably life-changing money. Congratulations to the Delaware person that was the winner. $100 million in the jackpot tonight for Mega Millions. Estimated cash value of $45.3 million. That's good stuff. Good stuff. The Mississippi Lottery is turning up the excitement with 3 brand new scratch-offs. Get in on the action with these 3 new games, including the supersized addition to our multiplier Madness family. You can play Double It for a shot at $20,000, money bags for a chance at $100,000, or go with our big new 50X ticket featuring multipliers up to 50 times and top prizes of $500,000. Don't forget, download the Mississippi Lottery app to track winning numbers. Check your tickets and see the latest bonus promotions and enter non-winning scratch-off games into the second chance promotion. Good stuff there. Did you hear the president speaking with children yesterday? So they had the annual Easter egg event at the White House. Sometimes it's an Easter egg roll. Sometimes it's an egg hunt. Sometimes they paint eggs. Donald Trump interacting with the young people at the White House yesterday.
I can sign autographs. You can sell it for $25,000.
The audio is not good enough. I thought it was going to be good enough that you could hear it. He said, I can sign autographs. I could sign autographs for you guys, and then tonight you could sell it on eBay for $25,000. Kid goes, could you sign mine? He says, Carolina's the only one that doesn't want my autograph. That's his granddaughter. I would say Carolina has zero interest in my autograph. Then he signed one of the drawings that the kid was making. He says, I think I'm going to sign this. That way I'll say I drew it. Look, I drew it. Look what I did, everybody. Kids go, oh, yeah. And one kid asked about Biden. Oh, just the opening that the president was looking for. Biden? He'd have an auto pen following him around. Joe Biden, he didn't sign anything. He was incapable of signing. This is to like 6-year-olds, 5-year-olds. So they'd follow him around with a big machine. Do you know what they called it? An auto pen. It would have an auto pen signed for him. Not too good, right, kids?
The story those children will tell their kids one day about that interaction will be priceless.
My goodness. Hope you'll stay tuned with us this morning. About 23 minutes from right now, we will be joined by the Secretary of State for the state of Mississippi, Michael Watson. He has an announcement to make, I think, and has some stops across the state of Mississippi over the next 3 days. 11 of them starting out today in Pascagoula, his hometown, making his way across the Magnolia State to Gulfport, Hattiesburg, and Jackson today, finishing up at the Trade Mart this evening in Jackson. Tomorrow he'll be in Meridian, Starkville, Tupelo, and Oxford. And then on Thursday he will finish up his statewide tour in Olive Branch, Cleveland, and Butterfield Mansion in Brookhaven at 5:30 on Thursday night. So I hope you will hang around for the conversation that we have with the Secretary of State, Michael Watson. And then something that I promise you do not want to miss. A little after 8:30 this morning, many of you who are longtime SuperTalk listeners have met or have talked to our friend, our colleague, Scary Gary. Gary O'Kane is going to join us. He is in charge of special projects at SuperTalk Mississippi. and has had a recent experience that he is going to share with us. An experience that happened while on the roof of Margaritaville on the coast. That's all I'm going to tell you for right now.
And this is can't miss radio and TV.
I promise you want to hang around. 8:37 this morning, Scary Gary will join us, and we will talk with him about what happened on the roof of Margaritaville on the coast. It's Tuesday morning. Today is April 7th, 2026, and you've got it locked in to Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi, presented by Community Bank. Thanks for starting your day with us. We'll take a quick time out. The news is next. We're back with you after this.
Slow down, keep you low down, and never forget me. Higher, higher, higher. How high can we go? Ride me high this morning, ride me high some more.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
Start your day right.
Good morning, America. How are you?
Honestly, I have no idea.
Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Keep everything in the formula. Upset in every way. The dogs begin to bark. Hounds begin to howl.
Good morning to you. Welcome again. It is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. Thanks for spending part of the start of your day with us, whether you're on your way to work, getting the kids to school, or, I don't know, maybe out for a stroll on this nice, crisp Tuesday morning. We appreciate you joining the conversation. You can do that on the C Spire text line at 601-879-4395. With C Spire, it's easier than ever to get all the devices you want in one move with the Ultimate Connect bundle. Right now, new and current customers can get a free phone, watch, and tablet, plus 100 gigs of data for just $90. That includes the new iPhone 17 and Samsung Galaxy S26 for free, and a free smartwatch, and a tablet to go with it. So don't wait. There's more to see. Visit cspire.com. or stop by your local C Spire store today. Mornings is presented by Community Bank. At Community Bank, we're more than just a place to manage your money. We're your neighbors, your partners, and your trusted financial advisors. For decades, we've been rooted in our community, helping families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams. Whether it's opening your first savings account, planning for a brighter future, or growing your business, we're here every step of the way. We're dedicated to our customers, committed to your success, and always here when you need us. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC. I discovered something last night, and it has my brain in a bit of a pretzel. And sometimes, Lance, I think there are things that you have to accept. And just like, I don't even know if I can process that. So as we sit here in Mississippi at 7:08 Central Time, and we look at other time zones, we kind of know without thinking. Eastern Time Zone, they're an hour ahead of us. So, all right, clock's turn. It's 7:09 here, so it's 8:09 on the East Coast. On the West Coast, it's 6:09, right? We operate on an hour difference. Well, I was thinking about the deadline set by President Trump for Tehran, the IRGC, to shut it down as it pertains to the war. They threw out the framework of a peace agreement through Pakistani negotiators and basically said, no 45-day moratorium, the war ends, You have to promise never to attack us again. And, oh, by the way, we will make no guarantees about our nuclear program going forward. Pretty much a non-starter. It was kind of the IRGC shooting the middle finger at the United States and the rest of the world. And so I was curious, well, where are we in terms of the countdown to the end of Trump's threat, which is midnight on Tuesday? Did you realize that in Tehran, they operate on a half-hour differential in time? So it's 10 after 7 in the Central Time Zone, 8:10 on the East Coast, 6:10 on the West Coast. It's 3:35 p.m. in Tehran right now. How does that work?
Constant revolution.
Yeah, you see why I'm like, you know what? I can't quite wrap my mind around that.
Seems like that'd be a mess.
Yeah, it does. So they are plus 3.5 hours Greenwich Mean Time, GMT, where you've got the international dateline. So it's currently 3:35, 3:41 now, I suppose, in Tehran, which means it is a ticking clock. Is it a ticking time bomb? Read an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal yesterday. This was put out by the editorial board there. And at least in part, it goes like this. President Trump hailed the rescue of the 2 U.S. airmen at a news conference on Monday, and he deserves his share of the credit, because God knows he would have been blamed had the high-risk mission failed. Involving more than 150 aircraft, this was, according to Trump, quote, one of the largest, most complex, most harrowing combat searches. It'll go down in the books, close quote. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane, put it this way. He said, quote, the nation needs to know this. This was an incredibly brave and courageous mission and a testament to the courage, skill, and tenacity of the joint force and our leaders. Especially a daylight option. Having the guts to try means so much to so many. Think about what this says to those who are in uniform. Americans in uniform saw the nation's commitment. They saw that they would not be left behind. Adversaries saw how a U.S. joint force was capable of pulling a mission like this off rapidly, a mere 30 miles from a major Iranian city. John Ratcliffe, who's director of the CIA, said that U.S. intelligence showed the Iranian regime was embarrassed. Not, however, the editorial board at the Wall Street Journal writes, embarrassed enough to cease inflicting damage on their own country. State media in Iran said yesterday that Iran had rejected a temporary ceasefire in exchange for reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Controlling the strait is Iran's only defense at this point, since 2 shootdowns out of 13,000 U.S. combat sorties does not an air defense make. Think about that for a second. 2 pilots, 1 plane goes down out of 13 combat missions during this conflict with Iran. And so all of our eyes go to the deadline that Trump has put out for the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. Will Trump delay the deadline in the way that he has many of the other deadlines? I guess we'll have to wait and see on that. Trump said yesterday, we have to have a deal that's acceptable to me. And part of the deal is going to be we want free traffic of oil and everything else. If not, we have a plan where every bridge in Iran will be decimated by 12 o'clock tomorrow night, where every power plant in Iran will be out of business. This idea of bombing the nation's power plants and its infrastructure has been criticized by people all over the world, countries all over the world, including some of our allies, in which they say, hold on now, you're taking your frustration, you're taking your anger, you're taking this next step in war against citizens of Iran. Because if you kill the power plants and you kill the bridges, now the Iranian people are suffering, not just the IRGC, not just the regime. Trump's justification here appears to be that energy sources can be legitimate targets if they have a particularly notable military nexus. Fuel for military launchers, the ability to transport material from one point to another. How does this go? How does this play out? We are left to, in the same way that the people in Iran are left right now, is to sit and wait. Will this president, Donald Trump, move forward with this threat? That if there is not a deal in place to reopen the strait by midnight tonight, Iranian time, and by the way, he says by midnight tonight, not you hit midnight and then it's time. Will the bombing begin? Will the bridges be wiped out? Will they knock all the power plants off light and plunge the entire country into darkness? About 90 million people. And so we wait. We shall see. Secretary of State Michael Watson joins us coming up next. It's Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank. Great to be with you on this Tuesday morning, April 7th.
From the Venable Glass Traffic Center.
Good morning to you there.
Okay, up and at 'em. Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Once again, good morning and welcome. The 7 o'clock hour of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Running a business is tough, and if you're struggling with HR, benefits, and payroll, you're not alone. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in. They can help. They give a full range of employer services, plus a custom plan can be made that fits just you. Give them a call today at 601-206-7966 or go to MWGEmployerServices.com. We are happy to be joined right now by the Secretary of State for the great state of Mississippi, Michael Watson. He is suited up on this Tuesday morning with a busy week in front of him, a tour across the state of Mississippi, presumably for an announcement. I think it was about a year ago, Secretary Watson was on with me, and I asked him about future political ambitions and where he might go, and he said, hey, you'll be the first to know, Richard. I don't know if we're the first to know or not. Some might say the worst-kept secret in the state of Mississippi. Mr. Secretary, good morning.
Good morning, my friend, and I do remember that conversation. It was quite a fun visit with me, and I appreciate the time that you spent, and glad to be on with you this morning. Look forward to talking a little bit.
Might have been a little premature. So this 11-city tour that you are beginning today in your hometown of Pascagoula, what's this all about?
Yeah, so look, we're ready to move to the next level to help Mississippi, and I don't know that I've said it publicly yet, but you're right. A lot of folks have kind of talked about what's he going to do, what's next. And so for me, first time I'm saying it publicly, we're going to be running for lieutenant governor of the state of Mississippi, and really excited about that. You know, we talk about experience and being ready on day one. My time in the state Senate dealing with legislation, understanding the process, building the relationships. My time in the Secretary of State's office, you know, it's basically a CEO position, running a state agency, understanding the budget, operating within that and getting policy done and implemented. So it's a great combination of skills. And again, just, my life being an attorney, it's been a challenge to understand and working with the government, cutting regulations. So we're ready. I think it's time for Mississippi to take the next step. And so we'll be running for lieutenant governor in 2027.
Your political career has kind of been a progression of steps. I mean, you talked about the offices that you've held working in the Senate and then making the move to Secretary of State and now making a run for lieutenant governor in Mississippi. Not everybody does it that way. We think about Haley Barbour as an example, someone who spent much of his career in Washington, wanted to come back home to Mississippi, and clearly his impact on the state of Mississippi is maybe even immeasurable is the right word. What about you? Has there been a master plan, this big plan of, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and this is kind of the timeline for me?
No, Richard, and it's important. I think at the end of my first term in the state Senate, I've never had a plan to be a senator, to be a governor, to be a United States senator, whatever. I don't have to be any of those things. I think what's been really comfortable for me is the title of Christian and dad and brother and son. Those are the things that define me. But that being said, I've always, just with a dad as a pastor and a mom as a pastor's wife, understanding let's love God and serve others. And so early on, I felt like public service might be the route. And when I was in the state Senate, I made my first speech after my first year in the Senate, and I was a fifth grade class. And so one of the kids asked, how much money do you make? And it was the funny things. And then the next guy said, well, are you going to run for president? And I said, look, man, look, anybody my age that's young, that's not thinking maybe of something else is probably lying to you. But what I will tell you is when the opportunity presents itself where I feel like I can do more good for Mississippi in any other position, then we'll take a hard look at it, pray about it. If I've got a piece about it, we'll take a shot. And so that's been my trajectory. I've never wanted to be Secretary of State. It was not something I looked forward to doing. It's just been the opportunity I felt like I could do the most good at the right time. So it's time and opportunity, and then having the peace that the Lord just says, hey, we think this is the right move. Let's go.
When I asked you, somewhat jokingly, a year ago about future plans, at least in part, your answer was, I'm going to be kind of where my feet are planted and going to try to do the best job I can in this particular role. As you launch a campaign for lieutenant governor with primaries about 16 months away, how do you balance the job that you have, that the people of the state of Mississippi have given to you as Secretary of State, while also campaigning for, I guess, the second most high-profile political position in the state of Mississippi?
Richard, I don't know if it's any different. I think if you ask people now, I travel quite a bit. I think it's important to be in communities across our state, listening to Mississippians. I could tell story time and time again of different policy issues that came from sitting down and talking with people, be it after a Rotary Club, a Kiwanis Club, you name it, whatever the club is, sitting down and visiting with just everyday Mississippians. They know what's impacting them, their kitchen table, what's important to them. So when you get out and listen to them, it helps you to advocate on behalf of them and ideas and policy positions that are important to Mississippi. So as Secretary of State, that's what we've done. We've heard a lot of talk about election integrity. Mississippi has moved from 26th to 11th in the country when it comes to election integrity policies. That comes from listening to Mississippians and understanding, hey, this is important to us. Let's get this right. So I've got a year and a half left, just more than a year and a half. And there's a lot of importance to me to finish strong in the Secretary of State's office. I hope people are proud of the work we've done and will continue to be proud. But that's my first job, so that'll be the focus. But we'll spend some extra time on the road probably after hours talking to the folks about Lieutenant Governor as well.
I have said to our listeners I was going to ask you this when I had the opportunity, and it's been a little while since we visited on the air. You have talked a great deal about the role that states play with elections, and that the Constitution lays out that it is the state's job to run elections in the way that they see fit so that they are fair and open and free. And yet we've talked a little bit about the Save America Act that is before Congress. It's something that the House has pushed. It's something that the president wants. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you've pushed back on that a little bit. I'm curious how you dovetail those two things with the need for states to run elections, because constitutionally that's what they are charged with doing, but a national program that would be put in place to help safeguard elections across the board.
Well, number one, I think the policies in the Save America Act, that's within Congress's duty. We want to talk about voter ID. Mississippi's done that. We've done it very well. Been a national model for that. We talk about proof of citizenship. Mississippi has done that. We were one of the first states to implement that through legislation as well as operation and implementation in our office. So when you talk about those policy pieces, very important. Mississippi's already done that. So I'm glad to see the country follow in our lead. When it comes to D.C., look, I think it's really important. The Constitution matters and it means something. It's important that states have the ability to run their own elections. I think, when you talk about the high level policy pieces, it comes down to the mechanics of it. So these policies are great. Voter ID, proof of citizenship. I think the key is the mechanics of it and how we run our elections should be left at the state level. But putting in, again, the policy pieces, that's where Congress has every right to do so. If they pass that, it's just the mechanical piece at the state level is important for us to make sure that we're operating by federalism. And I think that's an important principle.
Because of the structure politically of the state of Mississippi, the governor is the person who kind of lays out a vision for the future of the state, but it's the legislature's job more times than not to enact the policies that maybe go along with the governor's vision. There's a lot of power that rests with the lieutenant governor's position in the state of Mississippi as president of the Senate. What is your vision for Mississippi moving toward 2027 and beyond?
Well, I think you're right. We should have a governor that casts a vision that's not reactionary. I think it's important to have somebody in that office, which obviously will be open as well. So we need to have a governor that's visionary, that paints the future in front of us as opposed to just being reactionary and snap, at whatever he sees out there. I think that's important. Number two, I think the lieutenant governor's office obviously should be a great partner with the governor. And quite frankly, I don't think that's happening right now. So it's something that we're going to work forward. But I will tell you specifically, I'm a small government conservative. And so number one is how do we shrink the size and scope of state government? Give Mississippians more ability to make decisions that impact their lives and their families' lives as opposed to them being made in Jackson. So I think that's the overarching idea. Is it streamlining state government? Absolutely. Is it cutting spending? Absolutely. But then we talk about core functions, the money that is left that need to be spent on the core functions of government as opposed to things that government shouldn't be doing. So, Richard, we could talk about policy. I think that's another important part about the campaign, though, listening to Mississippians. What's important to you? Those are the policy pieces we should be pushing. So we're going to spend a lot of time listening to Mississippians across the state. And when it comes time to nail down our policy positions as we go into office, we will certainly be ready to do so.
Unlike federal politics, there is not a president-vice president ticket. There's not a governor-lieutenant governor ticket. There are a bunch of names that have been rumored for the governor's race in Mississippi. There are a couple that are confirmed in terms of a Republican primary with Andy Gibson and a campaign launch event for Philip Gunn that is coming next week. Any thoughts on what that race might look like?
It's going to be crowded. I think there will be 5 or 6 folks in that. And I think, Richard, look, I've got relationships with all of them. I think the key thing is personalities really shouldn't get in the way of policy. Mississippians deserve better. And so there shouldn't be some, tit for tat type relationship with the speaker, with the lieutenant governor, with the governor. But we should all be working together for the good of Mississippi. And so that's what I hope will happen. And that's what I'm going to focus on as lieutenant governor.
An official announcement from the Secretary of State, Michael Watson. He is launching a campaign for lieutenant governor in Mississippi. He'll be in Pascagoula, Gulfport, Hattiesburg, and Jackson today, Meridian, Starkville, Tupelo, and Oxford tomorrow, Olive Branch, Cleveland, and Brookhaven on Thursday. Mr. Secretary, thank you for your time this morning. Wish you all the best.
Pleasure, my friend. Look forward to seeing Mississippi across the state.
We'll talk to you soon. That's Michael Watson, Secretary of State, and this is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
From the
segment of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Wake up! Wake up! Rise and shine!
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross.
Nice early morning surprise.
On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Good to be with you on this Tuesday morning. My thanks to Michael Watson, Secretary of State, for choosing to make his initial announcement that he is running for Lieutenant Governor right here on Mornings with Richard Cross. And that has nothing to do with me, by the way. I'm thankful that he chose to do that. It has everything, though, to do with you, because he knows and others know that you across the state of Mississippi are locked in, you're paying attention, and this is the place that you come for breaking news. I guess that's breaking news. Yes, it is a poorly kept secret, as many within the political world in Mississippi have expected this announcement for a long time. But you heard Michael Watson say just a few minutes ago that publicly it's the first time that he has said that he is going to make a run for lieutenant governor. And interesting dynamic, and Secretary Watson pointed to it, that the working relationship between the lieutenant governor and the governor is not as smooth as it could be right now. I think sometimes it's overplayed just a little bit with Lieutenant Governor Hoseman and Governor Reeves. I think they may not be best friends and they may not be sharing 3 meals together a week, but I do think that they both want what is best for the state of Mississippi. Don't always see eye to eye on issues, and that's okay. That's the way that our system is set up. But a working relationship between the lieutenant governor's office and the governor's office in Mississippi is really, really important. Tate Reeves has laid out his vision for conservative leadership in Mississippi that is focused on economic development. And the thing that Governor Reeves has said over and over and over is that his goal within his 8 years in the governor's office is to see the average income for Mississippians rise. And there are a lot of ways that can happen. Primarily, though, is creating more job opportunities for Mississippians, good, well-paying jobs, so that Mississippians are not dependent on the government to help them get by, but rather can support themselves and can kind of move things forward in a way where they are having success financially through the jobs that you have. And it sets a pattern moving forward where you're able to set your kids up to be able to do something similar. And a lot of the things that have been enacted, a lot of the moves that have been made by the governor in his time in office have been to that end. And largely, the legislature has worked alongside the governor to make sure that those things happen. We've seen a lot of money pumped into jobs programs, a lot of money that has been pumped into Accelerate Mississippi, a lot of training. We talked with Senator Boyd last week about the upskill program that gives people who are working, who are of working age, the opportunity to go back and upgrade the skills that they have so that they can improve their job situation. But the interesting dynamic in all of this, or at least it's fascinating to me, that when in the United States you have somebody run for president, the president chooses a vice president to run alongside them. It's not the way we do it here. Governor is an elected position. Lieutenant governor is an elected position. And once the people of Mississippi select those two leaders are then tasked with working together to get results. And we don't know who that next governor is going to be. Tate Reeves' political career has about 1.5 years left in it, at least in terms of state politics. We have seen the governor work his way from treasurer to lieutenant governor, now to the governor's mansion, and the clock is ticking on his time in state government. It would be hard, regardless of how you feel about the governor personally, and he certainly has people who are ardent supporters, and he has people who are significant detractors. It would be hard, though, to look at the governor's tenure as the treasurer and then the lieutenant governor and now the governor and call it anything other than effective. Like, whether you agree with all of his policies or all of his positions, or personally you like him or you don't like him, frankly, I don't know that Tate Reeves is super concerned about that, but he has been effective. Josh in Clinton says, is lieutenant governor a term-limited position? Yes, it is. It is the only statewide office other than governor that is term-limited to 2 terms. State treasurer is not term-limited. State auditor is not term-limited. The attorney general is not. The insurance commissioner is not. But governor and lieutenant governor are limited to 2 4-year terms constitutionally in Mississippi.
Consecutively, but not after serving 2 consecutive terms, aren't they eligible to run if they sit out for 4 years? My understanding is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to have a hiatus of 4 years.
Consecutive 4-year terms. So you could serve theoretically 16 years in one of those positions?
Well,
right?
You could run 8 consecutive and then take off 4 years and then do it again and again. As long as you have a 4-year hiatus, it doesn't seem that there is a limit to the amount of terms that you can hold. They just can't be more than 2 consecutive.
Okay.
For the highest office and lieutenant governor.
Good clarification there. You can join in on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395, 601-879-4395. Paul in Hernando says, good for him. Michael Watson. Very good. Very good. So, right now, Secretary Watson is the only announced candidate for lieutenant governor. Will he have a primary opponent? Will he have a general election opponent? I certainly would think that there would be a general election opponent. I lean in the direction of, yes, somebody will slide in. And frankly, the announcement from Secretary Watson is a little earlier than you might see. Andy Gibson kind of flipped the calendar in terms of early announcement when, good grief, I guess it was last fall. Late summer, early fall last year. No, it was earlier than that. It was late spring, early summer last year when Andy Gibson announced that he was going to be running for governor. We have an announcement that is coming next Tuesday, and we're not breaking news here. There is an invitation that's floating around that says, campaign launch event for Philip Gunn, where he is going to run for governor. There is an expectation that the Attorney General, Lynn Fitch, is going to run for governor, though certainly no official announcement from her at this point. There is all kinds of speculation about what the state auditor, Shad White, is going to do. Incidentally, if you are not running for state auditor, you may be on an island of one. I have heard so many names that are going to run for state auditor in Mississippi. And it also brings up a question of who is going to run for Secretary of State moving forward. Secretary Watson has done, I think by all accounts, an outstanding job in that position. That's also... The focus at Secretary of State, or that maybe many of us have, is on running elections in Mississippi. But the Secretary of State's office is also kind of in charge of the business community and all of the filings that go along with big businesses and small businesses across the state. And so there's a pretty significant gap that will be left when Secretary Watson steps away from that office. Got to see who's going to be there. David McCray has worked as treasurer in Mississippi. I have asked him on this program in the past about, hey, what about your political future? What direction are you headed? And he has not been willing to tip his hand, other than saying that there are some other things that he has his eye on. If he were to step away from the treasurer's office, that opens that spot. That certainly, in the case of Tate Reeves, was the launch pad for higher office in Mississippi, first lieutenant governor and then governor. I think as we get into the summer this year, more people are going to be making public announcements. And while the governor's race is the top of the ticket and is going to get the most ink and the most interest and the most conversation, a lot of these other statewide offices are about to find themselves open as well. Will Mike Chaney run again for insurance commissioner? If he does, will there be primary opponents that step up against him? If he does not, how crowded will that field going to be? And then there's a different dynamic in all of this as well. If you are running for a statewide office, what's your ability going to be to fundraise when so much is going to be going toward the governor's race?
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
Super Talk, Mississippi.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Here we go. Now back to Mornings with Richard Cross.
Now that's entertainment.
Well, I done got old. I can't do the thing I used to do.
Good being with you on this Tuesday morning. Thanks for joining us. Kind of started down the road yesterday of taking a look at some of the money that is being spent or money that has been allocated for local projects across the state of Mississippi. We'll take a little closer look at that coming up to start the 8 o'clock hour, and a little bit more in terms of recapping the legislative session from 2026. What bills got the thumbs up? What bills got the thumbs down? What bills are kind of being kicked down the road, kicking the can down the road, as it is sometimes referred to. All of that on the way. An update on the situation in Iran. President Trump has said by midnight tonight as the deadline for Iran to shut it down in terms of the war. He has been very active on various social media platforms. Truth Social is his kind of posting place of choice. And bombing has begun. Reports of Israel taking out rail infrastructure in Iran with bombing runs. And the United States has attacked Karg Island. So, breaking from Fox News, about 40 minutes ago, the Israelis began strikes on Iranian rail systems and rail bridges across the country as the United States is striking Karg Island. If Iran and the IRGC was banking on this being a bluff or a flexible timeline from Donald Trump, that feels like a pretty severe miscalculation. The United States has fired on the Parchin military complex in Tehran. It was just obliterated. Iranian regime members are probably trying to decide what to do right now. Lance, are you about to jump in?
I'm listening, man. I mean, it's, the tirade Sunday on Easter, you could tell he was ready to go. Didn't want to do it then. You had the pilots that were obviously being recovered. Huge mission. I think he was given that time to settle a bit. Give credit to those that worked so hard to get those individuals back that were doing their job. But, man, if you think for a second this guy's deadlines are, etched in stone, how about that? You got to be careful. He means business, whether you're for or against whatever the war means to you. This is not a guy you take lightly, and today is a great example.
Yeah. I think I can play this clip from you from J.D. Vance. He is speaking, I'm not sure what this event is. Let's see here. This is J.D. Vance a little earlier this morning.
Confident that we can get a response, whether it's positive or negative. We're going to get a response from the Iranians by 8 o'clock tonight.
Hold on, that's a problem. We got something else. I got stupid autoplay going right now.
I don't know where he was speaking.
Yeah,
laughing going. I was like, they're not taking him very serious.
Like I can't tell where it's all coming from. Okay, sorry. It's a different one that's open on Twitter. Yeah. Oh well, that didn't work exactly the way that I was hoping that it would. So we will get back to that. Here we go. I think I got it now. Let's try this one more time with J.D. Vance.
But we feel confident that we can get a response, whether it's positive or negative. We're going to get a response from the Iranians by 8 o'clock tonight. I hope they make the right response, because what we really want is we want a world where oil and gas is flowing freely, where people can afford to heat their homes and cool their homes, where people can afford to transport themselves to work. That's not going to happen if the Iranians are engaged in acts of economic terrorism. So they've got to know we've got tools in our toolkit that we so far haven't decided to use. The President of the United States can decide to use them, and he will decide to use them if the Iranians don't change their course of conduct.
All right. So that is, he said an answer by 8 o'clock tonight. If that's 8 o'clock Eastern time, that is well past the deadline, and clearly the United States and Israel are not waiting all the way until the midnight deadline for an answer from Iran. And maybe that is strategic by design. Hey, we've told you what's coming. Here's the appetizer, and there's more on the way, just in case you need a little bit of a nudge to get across the finish line with your decision to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Will this do it? If you take out all of the infrastructure, will it do it? Does it open the door for you to forcibly reopen the Strait of Hormuz? Complicated, scary, and sad situation, what is unfolding in Iran, as this conflict is now about 6 weeks old. 8 o'clock hour is on the way. The news is coming up next alongside Lance Tolbert. I'm Richard Cross. This is Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
It's time to switch on. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Yeah!
Once again, welcome to the 8 o'clock hour, the final hour of Mornings with Richard Cross on this Tuesday, the 7th of April, 2026. It is a pleasure to spend the morning with you. Our show is brought to you every day by Community Bank. At Community Bank, we're here for every part of your financial journey. Looking to manage your personal finances, our banking services make it simple, secure, and tailored to you. Ready to grow your business? We offer expert guidance and custom solutions to help your business thrive. Dreaming of a new home? Our mortgage specialists are here to make the process seamless, all designed with you in mind. We're more than just a bank. We're your partner for life's biggest moments. Community Bank, rooted in our community. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. A couple of reminders for you. Tomorrow, Sports Talk Mississippi will be live at Scruggs Farm, Lawn, and Garden in Saltillo for their Drive Green Spring Sales event. Check out their green savings on John Deere zero-turn mowers, 0% for 36 months. Gators with 1.9% financing for 39 months, and compact tractors at 0% for 72 months. Plus, they always have other great deals at Scruggs Farm, Lawn, and Garden in Saltillo. That's tomorrow from 3 to 6 with Sports Talk Mississippi. And on Thursday, middays with Gerard Gibbert will be live from the South Highland Colony Parkway In Ridgeland, the Madison County Economic Development Authority will be discussing how they recruit and retain industries in the area, helping create thousands of jobs and billions in economic impact for Madison County. Where is the money going? We have a legislative session that has come to an end, and we have Senate Bill number 2189 from the regular session of the Legislature of Mississippi 2026. This is the act to direct the state fiscal officer to make disbursements to various places and programs across the state of Mississippi. We know that the IHL and its institutions have a significant amount of money coming their way. $6.5 million to Alcorn State. $10 million to Jackson State. $20 million to Mississippi State. That's for construction of a new South Campus mechanical plant to service the existing campus chilled water loop. $11.5 million going to the Mississippi University for Women, the W. $7 million headed for Valley. $10 million toward Ole Miss for construction, furnishing, and equipping of a new School of Accountancy on the Ole Miss campus. And then $2 million to IHL. That's for a total of $75,100,000 to IHL institutions. Community colleges to the tune of $40 million. And that is money that ranges from about $1.9 million to about $3.5 million. Almost $4 million at Mississippi Gulf Coast. That's money going to Coahoma, Colin, East Central, East Mississippi, Hines, Holmes, Itawamba, Jones, Meridian, Mississippi Delta, Gulf Coast, Northeast, Northwest, Pearl River, and Southwest. You may remember a bill that popped up early in the session this year that discussed combining a few of the community colleges in the state of Mississippi. That was quickly thwarted. And I'm not suggesting that that needs to happen. These campuses are important to each of the communities they serve, and they're fairly strategic in their location. You don't have a lot of overlap in community colleges that service particular areas. And so the interesting thing about it, and they vary in enrollment size. Obviously, you're not going to have the same number of students at Mississippi Delta Community College that you have at Northwest in Senatobia or at Mississippi Gulf Coast in Wiggins. The thing that's different about this, and really the goal of the community colleges, now some of them have grown and they have satellite campuses, they have multiple locations and they serve a larger geographic area. But the whole idea, even though some students come from away and maybe stay on campus, the whole idea with the community colleges is to serve their communities. And all of these schools play a role that is becoming ever more important in terms of workforce development. And so the idea that, maybe you combine resources, maybe you shut one or two of these campuses down, or you don't shut the campuses down, but you shut the administrative wing down and you put... If you're going to go down that road, there's got to be some very serious study and some very serious conversation about how that happens. But that appears to, at least for now, be off the table. $30 million to state agencies primarily for repairing and updating buildings and infrastructure. You got a bunch of individual municipalities and counties that have money going to them. I'll just give you a sample. I mean, they're I don't know, 80 or 100 of these. But let me give you a little bit of a sample. $750,000 to assist Prentiss County in paying costs associated with repairs and renovations to their courthouse. Batesville, $1 million, the Covenant Drive Extension Project. Tupelo, $2 million with the Blue Suede Development Project. Waveland, Mississippi, $250,000 in paying costs associated with replacing 2-inch line with 6-inch PVC line. That would either be for water or sewer, I guess. Probably not sewer with just a 2-inch line. Anyway, you understand. $250,000 to Hancock County Water and Sewer. Changing out lines from smaller to 6 and 8-inch water lines. Calhoun City, $20,000 to assist with paying costs associated with purchasing a new truck bed and related equipment. See a smaller allocation there. $1 million to Marion County, repairs and infrastructure maintenance to Circle Bar Road. The Board of Supervisors in Perry County, $250,000 to help with construction of a fire station. $100,000 to Jackson County, associated cost with acquiring 5 Lucas chest compression devices for the fire department. $5 million to Itawamba County, repairs and renovations to the county courthouse. It's a big list with a lot of stuff and with money spread all over the state. And there's some people that don't like what we sometimes call a Christmas tree bill, a special projects bill. I think I would push back on that idea. In all 82 counties, you have voters that pay state income taxes. The state's job, first and foremost, is to pay for the core functions of government. And education and health care fall under those core functions in terms of what has to be funded. There are two things that are happening here kind of at the same time. One, the state of Mississippi has been, and at least for now, continues to be in a very good financial position. Up close to $3 billion in the bank. A fully funded rainy day fund as part of that total $3 billion. But a lot of money being spent this year out of CapEx funds. No money was spent last year. You remember the legislature had its impasse, had to come back with a special session. They passed a pretty bare-bones budget, and there were no special projects dollars that were issued. The only problem with that is there were places where dollars had been promised, and so projects had to be put on hold for a year or so. This money matters to cities and counties and communities all across the state of Mississippi. But there's a second part of that equation. Yes, we are currently in a good financial position. Is that going to continue? Let's talk about that coming up next. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
People want to hear the truth, man. That's what we're going to do.
SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Reminder to you, in case you missed me mentioning this earlier, excuse me.
I love it.
Woo. That happens every
like
once
my
in a while.
dog Hawk.
Yeah. You do not want to go anywhere. A little after 8:30, 8:37 officially. We will be joined in studio by my good friend, our colleague, our guy, Scary Gary. Gary O'Kane who's in charge of special projects at SuperTalk. He does a gazillion things behind the scenes, especially when we are on the road at remotes, setup and breakdown and engineering work alongside Houston and all kinds of projects around the main office. Gary helps us tick as a company. Gary is also one of the most interesting people I have ever met in my life, and many of you have had the opportunity to visit with Gary, as over the course of the last 20 years or so, when SuperTalk Mississippi has been on the road in hometowns across the state of Mississippi, Gary's there. And one thing, if you have had the opportunity to visit with Scary Gary, you know that he's never met a stranger. And he has never been without stories to tell. And I have not talked with Gary about this, but it is my understanding that, boy, has he got a story to tell. Not too long ago, while working on an antenna, I believe on the roof of the Margaritaville Hotel and Casino on the coast, Gary saw something. It's not the first time that Gary has seen something. He's going to tell us about what he saw. That's coming up in about 15 minutes.
I have the honor of getting to hang out with him every day.
Yeah.
So, this is I'm so looking forward to this.
So I said there are two parts to the financial piece of where we are for the state of Mississippi. We are in a good position financially today. State has paid off a lot of debt in the last 6 years, a couple of $2 billion. State has a significant amount of money in reserves in its bank account, checking account, savings account, retirement accounts, etc. Access to liquid is a good thing for the state of Mississippi. And getting that money to projects in counties all across the state who have requested assistance in various areas with various projects is something that we can look at as very much a good thing. After all, it is taxpayer dollars, whether it be at the local level, the state level, or the federal level, that are funding a lot of these projects that we were outlining a moment ago. And so I think good and right for the state with money in the bank to say, yes, in a responsible manner, we are going to distribute some of this money to places that have requested help with special projects. Here's the other piece of this. Yes, the state has a lot of money in the bank. But it's not like if you or I had $3 billion in the bank. The truth of the matter is, if we had $3 billion individually in the bank, we would be very, very hard-pressed to spend it. Even if you go out and you buy just stupid, ridiculous, lavish things. You go out and you buy a big airplane. You go out and you buy a yacht. You buy half a dozen vacation houses, and you spend like a drunken sailor, and you're generous to causes. The interest on that amount of money for an individual grows so fast, it's almost impossible to spend yourself broke individually. The scale, though, is different when we are talking about an entire state. The list of projects, the list of needs is never ending, and the price tags are massive. There's not a county or a city in the state of Mississippi that couldn't spend a $25 million allocation from the state in the blink of an eye and not in a wasteful way. Updating infrastructure, all kinds of construction projects, rehab of older buildings, new facilities, parking garages, parking lots, roads. Like, just in the blink of an eye, there is not a city in this state, a county in this state, a community in this state that could not responsibly spend $25 million in the blink of an eye. You multiply that times 82 counties, times hundreds of cities and communities across the state, and you can see how quickly $3 billion could go. In the last half dozen years, the budget for the state of Mississippi has grown by $2 billion, from $5 billion to over $7 billion. Why is that? Well, in part, it's because everything is more expensive. So what's the point in all of this? The point is, while we are in a great cash position today, where are we going to be in 2 years? Where are we going to be in 5 years? I don't even dare ask the question where we're going to be in a decade. Because guess what? Everything is going to get more expensive. We are coming off a time that is almost unprecedented in the amount of federal dollars that have flowed to the states and to our state in particular. That faucet is being shut off. Now, that's not to say that in a couple of years when you go through an election, if a Democrat wins, that there won't be a spigot of money that's turned on again. But hopefully we never see another event quite like COVID where that faucet of revenue just was, it was as wide open could be. And because we were responsible with the money that came to the state, we've kind of been able to put ourselves in a good spot. But in the absence of federal dollars and in the absence of a state income tax that is going to get progressively smaller over the next decade until it zeroes out completely, where are we going to be financially? I think part of the hope is some of these major economic announcements that have come to the state of Mississippi, specifically during Tate Reeves' time as governor. A lot of them have gotten pretty significant tax incentives and breaks and delays, but at some point they will become tax-paying corporate citizens of Mississippi. There's a hope that these economic projects are continuing to draw new residents to Mississippi who come in and they get good, high-paying jobs and they contribute to their local communities and they spend money locally. But those people coming in and getting good, high-paying jobs with the income tax going away are not necessarily going to be writing checks directly to the state of Mississippi. Does that mean the state sends less money to local communities because people that are getting good, high-paying jobs are spending more locally and should be increasing the tax base, the tax rolls, the income for cities and counties? Maybe. But if you think that means cities and counties are going to stop asking for money from the state, that's not going to happen, even if revenues grow. I'm not trying to sound the alarm. I'm not trying to be a fear-mongerer. But Mississippi is going to be on the hook for more when it comes to Medicaid. That number is not going to get smaller. Department of Medicaid requested $390 million this year. They got about $200 million from the state, in addition to what they were already getting. You think they're not going to have a request $300, $400, $500 million next year and get another $200, $250 million? and everything else is getting more expensive too. Is our economic situation growing at the same pace that our expenses are growing? It's a really relevant question, and if you think fiscal conservatism isn't more important than ever, you got another thing coming.
What are we going to do? Rise and shine with information and insight. Check it out. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi.
Wasting away again in Margaritaville.
Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi. Great, as always, to be with you. It's always a great day when I get to visit with my friend Gary O'Kane. You perhaps know him as Scary Gary. He joins us in studio. Gary, I was just talking a little while ago about I don't think that we could function as a company without you, all the stuff that you do behind the scenes. We appreciate you, and I am most intrigued to visit with you today. How are you, my friend?
All right. How are you doing this morning?
Doing well. So recently, you were on top of the Margaritaville Hotel and Casino, I think working on an antenna of some sort, right?
Right. We were moving the antenna off the AM station to this new location that'll get out farther. And we were putting the pole up on a beam. We had tower climbers there, and Houston was there, and everybody's up on the roof, and we're getting cables laid out, and they're getting the bars ready with the antenna put together. And so, I mean, there's a lot of activity going on, and it's perfectly blue sky on the coast. I mean, it was a beautiful day. Looked up, saw a white speck, didn't think much about it, and just, kept going along. And a few minutes later, we're all kind of standing there waiting on the guy to get the last bolt put on so we could start getting antennas raised up. And I looked up again, and that white speck was still sitting in the sky. And I said, that'd been 5, 6, 7 minutes, still sitting there in the same spot. And I said, does anybody see the white speck up in the sky? And I pointed, and one of the tower climbers goes, hey, I see it. That's one of them UFOs. And I laughed, and of course, some people said a weather balloon and airplane and all, but it stayed in position. It did not move. And I said, that's just kind of weird. So I pulled my phone out and zoomed it out as far as it would go, shot a picture, and then once I got the picture, I zoomed it in more, and as I zoomed it in, the picture changed. And when you zoom the picture out, it is a white speck in the middle of a white halo, and it's definitely something in the sky. And you can't make out what it is, but it didn't move for at least 15 minutes because I kept looking up after I took the picture. And finally, about 20 minutes, I looked up, and it had disappeared, and nothing else was ever said about it. And, of course, I got to work. I showed JT my picture and all, and he goes, that's one of them UFOs, I think. And I was like, it could be. It was weird because it did not move in the sky. It was stationary.
Okay.
And
all right. So,
of course, we had aircraft, flying to Keister go by, nonstop, being there right there on the coast. But this was way up in the sky, and it was not moving. And even a satellite moves. I mean, if you have a balloon in the sky, it's eventually go move some. But it was like every time I looked up, it was basically in the same exact spot.
So what do you think it was?
A speck in the sky. I mean, Lance has got it pulled up. I mean,
yeah. I mean, we're if you're watching on SuperTalk TV, you see it. I mean, it looks like a little bit of some sort of a cloud way off in the sky.
Looks like a donut.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's actually a donut.
No. But
the great donut in the sky.
Yeah.
All right, so is this the first time that you've spotted something like this?
Like this, yes. I have seen some things through my life. I mean, back in 1979, coming back from Florida, I saw tremendous white light over a cotton field between Kent and Flora, and it was not moving. It was stationary, and I can see I can shut my eyes and see the leaves of the cotton shining because it was just tremendous white light, no flashing, no sound, no movement. It was above a dead old oak tree out in the middle of the field. And, of course, I was by myself, and I kind of got freaked out, and I took off on back to Canton. And then, again, another time I had a little incident that I wound up 25 miles going the wrong way and had lost an hour and a half.
Oh, we talked about that one, yeah.
And I still don't know what happened on that, but I did see the Elk Road sign at Hattiesburg on 59 twice.
I'd love that story.
98.
Yeah, that was south of Hattiesburg, right?
So you just disappeared. At least mentally. I mean, you think you blacked out? You think you fell asleep?
Well, no. I don't think I went to sleep because, it was like, I don't know what happened. Let's just say I've gone through that area going back and forth to the coast many a time, and I have sat and looked at it and thought about it. And the pavement, I do remember that basically when I came back to was driving, the highway had changed colors to white. And it's been resurfaced up there between the 49 and 59, so it was black. And it was that didn't dawn on me. And the radio show I was listening to on the radio had changed, and the clock was messed up, and I was discombobulated. The next thing I knew, I was coming into New Augusta, and I said, I'm going the wrong way. Well, it's not but 2 miles from 59, because I kept thinking, how far is 59?
Huh.
And, that was, and Houston left an hour after me, and he got home an hour before I even made it back to Jackson. So,
all right, so I don't want to be flippant when I ask this question, and maybe this isn't the right word to use, but based on a couple of experiences that you've had, do you believe in aliens?
I don't know about aliens, but
well, and that was the word in particular that I wanted to be careful with.
Let's just say there is something that's watching us. I don't know what they're doing, but I have seen some weird things, and of course I keep up with aviation and stuff like that. I've always loved to fly when I was a kid and all. But it's just one of those things that I've seen aircraft, I've seen balloons, I've seen helicopters, I've seen, different. I saw the space shuttle on the back of the 747 when it come over Jackson, Mississippi, and they were flying it from California to Florida for the launch of one of them. And it was on the back of the 747, and that was some of the biggest air stuff I've ever seen fly in my life. It was just amazing how it stayed in the air even. But, yeah, it's just...
Have you ever had something else that's out there speak to you?
Not that I know of. People say I'm, crazy anyway, but hey, your voice is in your head, but it ain't an alien voice.
Well, you've never met a stranger.
No,
I've watched you interact with people.
I've always said I've never met a stranger I didn't know when I got through talking to him.
Could it have been a Chinese spy balloon?
I don't think it was a spy balloon. I really don't know what it was. It's something to talk about. It's that you ain't gonna believe this story, kind of stuff, But hey, it's just something I saw, and it's kind of taken on its own life that I really wasn't expecting to, anything to happen off of. But here I am talking about it on your radio show. But who's to say that it's not something out there? Through the years, the astronauts have seen stuff in space, and of course, NASA's cut the feed, and they went to the alternate channel, so you never hear what they're talking about.
So, what do you make of this conversation that's happening at the federal level about declassifying informations and
they go drop it on us?
What does the CNI know about it?
They go drop it on us that we're not alone. Look at the Artemis 2. We went farther than any human's ever been in space. Well, yeah, we're humans. But who's to say that there's not somebody that's more advanced that has seen us, and they're kind of like, what are these little ants? You know, it's kind of like having an ant farm. You keep an eye on it, see what's going on.
Do you, because you have had multiple, I don't want to say encounters, I don't know if that's the right word. Maybe it is. But because you've seen multiple things throughout your life, do you think that whatever's out there is keeping tabs on you?
I don't think they're keeping tabs on me. They need to be. Well, everybody's trying to keep that. Where is Gary is the number one question sometimes. But no.
Mowing at Como probably. Or yeah.
But no, I don't think that they're following me and looking, watching what I'm doing and all. But
because isn't there the idea that once you've had an encounter, that it keeps tabs on you individually, whatever it is?
That's the theory. But I don't have these dreams where I feel like I have been visited in the night and all that kind of stuff. I don't have crazy dreams like that, or
you don't feel like somebody's been sitting on you, the weight they talk about.
Right, yeah. Right, or you wake up and you got weird marks on you or something. But nothing like that.
All right. Hang with me for a couple of minutes. We got to take a break. We got to pay some bills. We'll talk a little bit more with Gary O'Kane. He is our colleague at SuperTalk Mississippi, talking about some things that he has seen. It's Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank. We're back with you right after this.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
The news you need.
Every 10, 15 minutes, there's something.
The talk you love.
They really talk about the things that matter. I'm into all that stuff.
Mornings with Richard Cross. Super Talk, Mississippi.
Lance having fun with the record player in the studio. Morning to Richard Scotty. Cross, presented by Community Bank. Don't forget Sports Talk Mississippi tomorrow, live from Scruggs Farm, Lawn, and Garden in Saltillo. And on Thursday, Gerard will be at the South Highland Colony Parkway in Ridgeland. Mornings is presented by Community Bank, online at communitybank.net. You want to join this conversation with Gary O'Kane, Scary Gary, as he is more commonly known around these parts. You can do so on the C Spire text line. Right now at C Spire, new and current customers can get a free phone, watch, and tablet, plus 100 gigs of data for just $90. There's more to see. Visit cspire.com today. Gary, if you had an interaction with another form of life out there, I hesitate almost to call it an alien, what would you say to
it? That's a good question, Richard.
Thank you.
It would probably be kind of a free-for-all, if you could communicate with them. Do a bunch of hand gestures or something. I don't know.
But you would need to ask him which NASCAR driver is an alien.
Yeah, which one's going to win the championship. But no, just ask general questions about where they're from, and just general what you'd ask somebody if you met them at a remote or whatever. Where are you from? What do you do?
How your mama and them?
Yeah, how's your mama?
Do you think if there is life out there, it looks like maybe what we've imagined aliens look like? Do you think they just look like us, or what?
No, I don't think they look like us. Nope. Let's just say I don't think there's another probably creature in the world that looks like a humanoid, because we were made in God's image. So who's not to say that we're in His image instead of an image of whatever they evolved from? Who knows? They could have evolved from amoebas or something. You don't know. it's kind of like dogs. You change 2 genes, and you can get a Chihuahua or a Great Dane. So,
or another life form altogether could have been created by God.
Well, yeah. I mean, God's everywhere. So, I mean, the universe is God's. So, I mean, who's to say that we're all alike? I mean, nobody's alike here on Earth. We all got eyes, ears, and legs, and feet, and all that. But I'm just saying that they may not have ears or just one big eye or something. Who knows? I mean, you watch all these sci-fi movies. They're not all little blues or little grays running around.
Casey on the C Spire text line says, "My husband and I saw the white object in the sky. Yeah, we live just to the south of Federal Crane Land in Ocean Springs. There have been several fires there in recent years. We saw the object and assumed it was a drone from the Forestry Commission taking pictures or video. It was odd that it moved so slowly."
Yeah, I would say that because I saw that on the text line that her and her husband saw it. But
how high do you think this object or
first
donut
off, it don't look like a drone. Even from high altitude. A drone, you wouldn't even see it unless it was a big drone. I mean, you're dealing with a drone. Most drones are a little bit bigger than a basketball, you might say.
Even if it was the big car size, you wouldn't have seen it up there. It might have been a little shine. But.
Well, yeah.
I guess that's what I'm saying. How high do you think it was in the sky? I mean, you think it was at 30,000, 40,000 feet where airplanes fly, or was it beyond
blue sky.
that?
It's hard to tell. I mean,
I know.
I mean, it's not a cloud in the sky to judge. I mean,
depth perception's tough.
Yes. I mean, if you had a high ceiling of clouds, you could say, okay, well, it's below the ionosphere up there, or different type of clouds, different altitudes. But there was blue sky, so you couldn't really tell how high it was, but it wasn't low. Definitely wasn't low.
So you believe there's something else out there. What do you say to people who are like, come on, man?
Hey, look, Richard, I was 23 stories up on the coast.
Okay.
So I wasn't on the ground. I had a clear view of the sky. And, there wasn't no reflections or nothing like that. And it was just weird. I mean, it just stayed in one place. And
wonder how it would have appeared through a telescope.
Now that or a pair of binoculars, because that was just a little old cheap, cell phone that zoomed in. If I'd have had a real camera with a 300 millimeter lens or something with a tripod, you could have probably got a picture of it. But
never have a 300 millimeter lens and a tripod handy when you need them, do you?
That's right.
That's why you got to keep your hunting rifle with you at all times.
I don't think it would reach it.
For the scope, man.
You still couldn't reach it, but yeah, with the scope.
Gary, I appreciate you sharing with us.
Okay, Richard, it was fun. I mean, hey, it's a story. I mean,
it is.
You can believe it or not, but hey, it happened.
It was your story. Thanks, buddy.
Hey, man, you have a good one.
We're back with you tomorrow morning, just after 6 o'clock. Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank. Have a great day.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.